Hey guys, what's happening? It's Bobby Bonilla Day. Another $1.9 million in the bank for a senior citizen. Well, almost. Can't get any better than this because today is the big day. We're going to Cincinnati. Jay's driving and I'm riding, so I figured what better way to kick this day off than to start talking about top 5 offenses in the league. This is really hard because I'm doing some stat diving. And by the way, these are my opinions. The other half of the fantasy baseball advocates may have something different to say. But I would like to start off by saying there's so many good offenses in this league. It's really hard for me to pick like a top 5. But I feel like this is very important because we're coming to a time in the year where hitting and pitching becomes more abundantly clear as who is prevailing and who is struggling. And who's regretting some of the choices they made, whether it be draft decisions or trades early in the year, and who is not. So let's get this thing started. So number 5, I'd like to start off with is Imperial, and I think Imperial would actually probably be disappointed with this ranking if he were listening to this like 3 months ago, because he's got an offense that's definitely capable of doing more, but they're still pulling his weight. And he is a top 5 team in the league, and a for sure contender. Led by Pete Alonso, Josh Lowe. Yeah, that's a name that dicks me every time I think about it. And then he's also got just solid depth everywhere in that lineup. Bobby Witt Jr., he's not producing like he was supposed to earlier in the year, but he's still, if you look at his stat line, he's a top 100 player. And as I go down this list, I can't help but to notice that I look at these teams, and what's important is not just their hitters producing, but like how well they're producing. In other words, I'm sorry, I know I'm going off topic here, guys, but looking at sheer stats, like when I think of Imperial's team, I think of power and home run and, OPS. And he's got all that going, yes. But there's a reason he's number 5. He's struggling in some areas. He's got some holes in his offense that he could probably do without filling just simply by having guys produce more. Well, what I'm trying to get at here, guys, is to win this thing, you're going to have a complete offense top to bottom, or you're going to have an offense that's at least efficient and you're really going to hit it pitching. So sorry I had to do this during my sneak peek with Imperial, but I really wanted to hit on what I'm trying to go at. So as I'm looking at these stats here, sorry guys, it is raining, sorry about the sound quality, but I'm trying to pull this stuff up. We are looking. So Imperial is number 1 in the league right now. And he's number 1 because he is a balanced team on offense and pitching. But if you look at it, he's got Real Muto, Ketel Marte, Austin Riley, Bobby Witt, Pete Alonso. All these guys are household names. I'm not looking at their stats. I'm saying the normal person looks at these and thinks, oh, this guy's offense is amazing. But what I noticed in being in this league going on 5 years now, it's not about who has the amazing offense at the end of the year. It's who has the best of both worlds and who can adequately fill as many holes as possible without having to be deficient. We're going to get to this in a minute. We'll have to move on. But I will say, Imperial looks good top to bottom. He's got some guys that are going to really give people fits down the stretch. So good job for Imperial. Our next one on this list is Redbird Nation. Now Redbird Nation, I feel like surprised a lot of people at the beginning of the year because I don't think people thought that he had what it took to contend this year. I think people thought that he was going to be maybe middle of the road, coming along, but still in kind of a roster forming, not a rebuild because he came to the league a couple years ago, but still just kind of bringing that roster along, acquiring pieces. But he has gotten the best out of a lot of his his hitters. But the heart of his hitting is Rosa Morena, Acuna, Luis Robert Jr., Eloy Jimenez. And then he's gotten good output from guys like Andrew Vaughn, Jeremy Pena, and at times in the year, Nolan Gorman, not to mention Sean Murphy. These guys are putting his offense in solid position to contend down the stretch. The question with his team is, can some of these guys keep it up, or are they going to start falling off similarly to the way Nolan Gorman has? Only time will tell. Then we get to number 3 on our list. This is where it gets really hard, okay? Because number 3 on the list is Kicking Dirt. Kicking Dirt, I feel like should be higher. Because if you look at his offense, he's got Jonathan India, Bo Bichette, Christian Walker. Some of these guys, as you look at them, some of them are household names, some of them aren't. And he is just killing it. He's got Jonah Heim at catcher. The problem with him, and I'm texting him back and forth, is he doesn't think he has the pitching. I'm going to tell you guys straight up right now, I've already said it. I know he's 19 games out, but he was more. Don't sleep on this guy winning his division, because his division is there to be had for anybody who gets hot down the stretch. So don't sleep on this team. Moving along to number 2. It's getting really hard here. Number 2 is actually one of them back out of the playoff picture. I'm sorry, but it's Italian Hitman. Hitman is having a very disappointing season. And if you look at it, I think it's due to his pitching. If you look at his offense is, dare I say, studly. We got Adolis Garcia. We got Jose Ramirez. We got Marcus Semien. Like, this guy did the J method 2 years ago before Jay did the J method, which is the stars and scrubs. And this just goes to show, when you do a stars and scrubs, you may have these elite hitters, but he's got too many holes elsewhere. And not to say he can't fill it, but he's in a division with Imperial and Eagle Ridge. I think he's going to have a hard time doing that. But given credit and props where credit is due, this guy's offense is elite. And anybody playing him down the stretch could be vulnerable to getting beat. So don't look at his ranking in the standing. Really scout his offense and set your lineup to go for those categories that you think he may be deficient in. Because if you try to just play him straight up and he's hot, it may be a bad week for you. Moving along, we get to the top of the list. Now, I've kind of set you guys up with a little teaser here. Because number 1 is Bird Law. And the reason I say teaser is because I realized something in going through these rankings, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about Bird Law. Bird Law has Corbin Carroll. Bird Law has Rafael Devers. Bird Law has talent. All across his offense, you see stars and you see scrubs. The thing is, Bird Law has built this team where he's adequate in pitching, probably more than adequate, and he's got the deck stack for hitting. He does have some holes in his offense, but if he gets production from guys like Trevor Story down the stretch, he could be even better. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going off the top of my head. I'm being brave here. I'm not looking at the stats in front of me right now, so I know there's names on your teams I'm leaving off. There's a reason I put you where you're at. I know you got the talent. Bird Law is number 1. However, this is how someone would look at the offenses and be like, oh man, this guy's got this guy, this guy's got this guy, this guy's got this guy. I've held a special spot for Eagle Ridge here. Eagle Ridge has, Bird Law may be number 1, but Eagle Ridge has the most complete lineup that's producing this season, top to bottom. And that's why he's up there with Imperial, close to number 1. If you look at Eagle Ridge's lineup, he doesn't have, multiple top 10 players. What he has is 7 or 8 top 100 players. And at the end of the day, if you're playing him and you don't have a guy on a hot streak, those stats are going to win out 9 times out of 10. So, credit and kudos where credit is due. Birdlaw may be number 1, but Eagle Ridge has the most complete offense. Sorry for the rain and all the bumpiness Jay's driving, guys, but we're so excited for this day. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Hopefully you enjoyed this little snippet as far as where I view just the hitters going into this part of the season. Take care and be well. And give it a second to shut this shit off.